Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about accents, what they are and how to use them. And this is really, in a way, about acquiring a deeper understanding of the language of animation, because you'll hear animators talk about hitting accents, using accents, body accents, head accents, hand accents. So it's important to know what they are and how to use them, especially when we get into animating dialogue, because we'll be talking about accents a lot in dialogue and how you want to hit the main accents in the line and what that means. So first of all, what is an accent? So I think an accent is defined as a kind of visual punctuation or alternatively as a gesture or as a point of change in the shot. And here's an example. Here's Buzz Lightyear from the wonderful Toy Story 3, and here Buzz is hitting an accent as he gets into a pose. So an accent could be a pose, but essentially it's a change. It's like a visual punctuation, a gesture, or a point of change, I think is the best definition that I can come up with for what an accent is. So what do animators mean when they talk about hitting the accents? And what we mean by that is punctuating an important moment in a shot. So here where Buzz gets into his pose and kind of does his kind of flamenco bullfighter thing, he's hitting the accent there by getting into that pose. So what kind of accents are there? Well, in general terms, there are two kinds of accents. There are hard accents and soft accents. And what we mean by a hard accent, if you take the example of somebody pointing, that would be somebody pointing hard, like saying over there, and then recoiling back again. So that would be a hard accent which bounces back. These examples are taken from the Animator's Survival Kit, which has a good section on this and is well worth checking out if you want more detail on accents. So a hand pointing over there, like a hard accent, recoiling and bouncing back. That's a hard accent. A soft accent would be a point which just slows into the final position. Over there, point, ease into the final position. That's a soft accent. So the difference between a hard accent and a soft accent is really in the recoil. And in summary, hard accents bounce back, slow accents ease in. Here's some example of hard accents. A hammer hitting a nail, bang, there's the accent and recoil. Here's another very similar example. A hammer hits a board, bang, and recoil. That's a hard accent. Here's a hard accent in the case of a boxer. A boxer winding up the anticipation, punch, and then probably an overshoot, and then a settle at the end. So that's going to be a very hard accent. Punch is a hard accent. Soft accents would be more like a yoga instructor getting into a pose. The yoga instructor might just ease into the pose, very soft, slow ease in. A conductor conducting an orchestra, that could be both hard and soft accents. You could, if it was a really fast tempo, you might have hard accents, but a soft accent, just getting slowly into the pose, is a soft accent. If you're animating a character like Pooh Bear tends to be very soft accents. There are no sudden movements with Pooh Bear. I was lucky enough to work on the A.A. Milne characters on Piglet's Big Movie, which I worked on in Japan back in 2003. It was really fun animating all of these characters because they all had very different kinds of styles of animation. Pooh tends to move slowly, his accents tend to be soft. Also Eeyore tends to move slowly in an Eeyore-ish kind of way, again tends to have soft accents. Rabbit and Tigger, on the other hand, these are some of my drawings from the film, tend to have very, very hard accents. Tigger is constantly bouncing, that's a hard accent. Rabbit is frantic, he's neurotic, he's constantly in a tizzy, and he tends to have very hard accents. Now, how long should an accent be? Probably an accent should be about 6 frames, because anything less and you won't feel it. If it was just 2 frames, it would feel like a vibrate. 4 frames feels like a slow vibrate. So 6 frames is about the minimum you need to feel an accent. So let's consider, now that we've broken down accents into 2 main kinds, hard and soft, let's consider 3 kinds of accents, or three species of accents, if you like, and those are body accents, where you're making the accent with the whole body, an accent with a hand, and then an accent with the head. And here's a full body accent. Here's where the whole change, the whole pose of the body would change to create an accent. Here's an example of Peter Sellers from Dr. Strangelove. It's a wonderful movie where Dr. Strangelove plays this mad scientist who has been helping the Americans make an atomic bomb, and he's been plucked from presumably some kind of German, some sort of Nazi war machine, and he's constantly, his hand has a life of its own and is constantly trying to salute the Führer or the president, and so he's hitting these accents all the time with his hand. Here again, Spanish Buzz getting into his body accent there. Here's an example of a head accent. Here's Calvin drawn by the wonderful Bill Watterson. Here's some head accents drawn by Norman Rockwell. Animators tend to love Norman Rockwell. His drawings are so expressive. He tells a story with his drawings without any need for dialogue. Really beautiful work. Here's a combination head and hand accent combined. Calvin riffing off the famous Edvard Munch scream there. Here's some hand accents. Here's a hand accent, God Creating the Universe, by Frank Frazetta, another animator's favourite, incredibly talented illustrator or painter, and really beautiful work. Here's some more hand accents. Here's Shere Khan from the Jungle Book, and Shere Khan is here flexing his claws, or rather he's just revealed his claws, and they kind of spring in, and Kaa is looking suitably alarmed by this. And even though the tiger doesn't move much at all, this hand accent punctuates his dialogue and gives it menace and a sense of controlled, murderous intent. Here's a classic hand accent, somebody just raising their thumbnail in a thumbs up gesture. Here's another one from this is Woody from Toy Story, just making an accent with his hands. And here's Zigzag the Grand Vizier from The Thief and the Cobbler, making a hand accent with his hand. And then again here. So lots of different kinds of accents. The important thing is just to know what they are, so that when you're getting feedback on your animation, and I'm saying you need to punch the accents harder here, you know what it is that I'm talking about. And then the question arises, well, how do you know where the accent should go? And that's why it's so important to do thumbnails, because it's really in the thumbnailing process that you figure out where the accents are in a line of dialogue, or in a bit of pantomime action. And that's where you really do the work. And you work out where the accents are in the line. Here's Boog the Bear. You can watch my video on doing thumbnails for Boog the Bear. I ain't going out without a fight. And here I've underlined fight. We know that's the big accent in the line because it's the big high point in the audio. I ain't going out without a fight. Big accent, that's going to require a big body gesture. It's going to be a full body gesture, and also a hand accent there on that hand. Really, wherever the big accent is in the line, that's your point of biggest change. Here's Boog the Bear saying, "Oh no, you won't." This is the shot that comes just before the previous one. But here the accent is on won't. "Oh no, you won't." And so the big change on his head, the big turn on his head, is going to be on the word won't. So the key thing really is to know what accents are and understand how you can use them to make your animation more interesting and more successful.